and giving the race fans a little bit of additional bite. We're just talking about tire bite and much, much more. There is the parade of beautiful Napa Auto Parts trucks on the front straightaway. Napa, the official sponsor of the event. Mike?
And Ben, you talk about that tire strategy. I had the opportunity to speak with a few drivers earlier today about that particular issue, and it certainly has thrown a curveball into the strategy equation. Lots of drivers still trying to figure out, and teams trying to figure out exactly what they'll do, especially if a caution flies with about 25 laps to go, whether or not they should bolt that softer tire on or use it earlier to gain track position.
Well, from the starter stand, Bob Slade has the yellow flag in hand, and we are just moments away. It is Jimmy Williams who is the man that is in charge of the Whelen Modified Tour. And in addition to that, Brian Vance is his right-hand man in the competition here as well. Joe Koss, quickly, tell us the quick version of the tire situation.
Well, it's really going to be a workout for these guys on pit lane. In the past, we've seen these teams be allowed to take 3 tires on a pit stop. That sounds like a bit of an odd number. The left front tire doesn't take a lot of wear in these modified. So now you've got the option, Mike, to put a right rear tire on, a 4th tire if you want to come down pit road, which means today we could see 3 pit stops throughout the day because you got to pit for fuel separate from when you take tires. And so it could be really active down there on pit lane today.
And they have separate compounds too. They've got a softer compound they could bolt onto that right rear, which would in turn translate to additional speed and perhaps some additional spots on the racetrack.
You know what the trick of that is though a lot of the teams had to make that decision yesterday and declare what tire they were going to do. So you've got to play a little bit of a game to see what are you going to do, what your strategy is going to play out, and it's a bit of a roll of the dice. The soft compound, the hard compound, not knowing that today it was going to rain.
And that wasn't the only story. Yesterday afternoon, we determined where the cars would take time by their first round of practice. So that was kind of a little bit of a different twist on all of this as well. They head down into turn number 1 with all the colors of the rainbow. These are the men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And it is a banner field of cars that have been assembled here at Stafford for this prestigious event. This event has history. It's been 80 laps. It's been 200 laps. And today it is 200 again. And that's where pit strategy is going to come into play.
There's no question. When do you make that first pit stop? That's what crew chiefs are trying to figure out at this point. They have been for the past couple of days. We're going to find out what they've decided. Not too deep into this race, Joe.
That first pit stop should come north of lap 50. Last year in this race, Doug Coby ran out of fuel on a 148-lap run. The rules are about the same, so you've got to go at least that far if you want to be able to make it all the way on fuel. So that'll be the first stop of the day. You'll see tires come in stop 2 and 3 if they take it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what we've been waiting for. Get out of your seats, make some noise, and give them a wave. This is the greatest race in the history of spring, Napa style, from the Stafford Motor Speedway, as everybody is up and waving their hats. There's nothing like it. It starts your heart pounding. You've been all over the place, Mike Massero, but there's nothing like Stafford and the Spring Sizzler.
You cannot duplicate this, and the crowd is into it. You can see by the waving of the hats. They're up on their feet, ready to see the green flag fly here for the Spring Sizzler here in 2017. We expect nothing but excitement for the next 200 laps.
We certainly do. The Whelen Engineering lights are off at the pace car at the point of the field. Joe Koss is here at Broadcast Central, and our special guest today, Mike Massaro, will bring the field to green for the start of this year's Napa Auto Parts 200, the Spring Sizzler from Jackaroots Stafford Motor Speedway.
Doug Coby to the inside, Todd Zegedy to the outside, wheel to wheel, looking for the Emerald Silk. It's in the air. And give the jump to Coby heading into 1.
Coby is able to clear Todd Zegedy by the time they get down to turn 1. The battle is on for 3rd. Here's Eric Goodale digging down to the inside lane of Ryan Preece off turn 2.
No question about it. He was already in the winner's circle earlier, but it is Chase Dowling who's already applying the pressure. He works up to the top 5. Single file, the top 5 head back to turn 1.
Rowan Pennick finally getting down to the bottom of the racetrack heading into turn number 1. They'll go single file off turn 2 down the back straightaway. You'll find double wide racing for the 6th spot. Rowan Pennick finally getting shuffled back to 7th as they now get straightaway single file headed to start finish and down into turn number 1. Doug Coby continuing to hold the advantage.
Likes to be out in front of these races. He's that Mayhew Tools number 2 from Doug Coby. Looks in the rearview mirror. He's got a car length in hand back to Todd Zegedy. He's getting a lot of pressure from from Eric Goodale, one of those strong Long Island contenders, running in third.
He certainly is, and meanwhile, it is Ryan Preece who settles into the fourth spot. Further back, side-by-side racing, it's the 7 New York of Donnie Leah as it picks up yet another position. Now works over the 00, the Goose Eggs car, and that is, of course, TC Ted Christopher. That's currently running among the top 10.
Christopher battling for that real estate off of turn number 4, but Leah able to get up underneath him and holds the position down into turns 1 and 2, but Christopher still fighting for position, Joe, as they head down the back straight ahead.
Frank Luntz trying to find room down the inside lane, didn't have it there. You look up a little bit, we see some battles now. Rowan Pennick, winner the last time out at Thompson, works down to the inside of Ronnie Silk, and he's trying to bring Donnie Leah right along with him in turn 1.
It certainly does seem to work because Leah just follows him through. Rowan Pennick a few laps ago looked like he wasn't going to be a contender. Back up front, battle is for second. Going, gone. It is now the Eric Goodale machine.
Success. We've won 3 consecutive championships, but our team feels like on the outside they want us to fail. But you know what? None of that stuff gets to us because we know who we are, we know what we're made of, and we know that we could stand that pressure. And they're in that moment right now where a lot of people are saying, hey, you know what? That 2 team is back on their heels a little bit. Now is our time to strike. But today, I think you're going to see what that team is made of and if they can bounce back from the struggle they had.
Well, they're looking pretty good, but we're only 11 laps into the record books. A year ago, that was the car that won this event. Kind of appropriate to be the car leading this event right from the start. But sit back, relax, and hold on to your seat because we're going back to green. And this time, Todd Szegedy is trying to give a run for the money with Doug Coby. And Coby has that bottom line, and it seems to work down the back straightaway.
Got those left side tires just glued to the inside of the racetrack through that corner all the way down the back straightaway, and he's opened up what appears to be about a car-length advantage now over Goodale. Heading down to the start-finish line back into turn number 1, but right now, Coby has looked incredibly strong from the start.
Very smooth as he enters the corner, and that's one of the keys here at Stafford. The top 5 now being able to stretch out single file. We start to see Rowan Pennick continue to make some noise. This time he's looking for the 6th position as he tries to take that away from Justin Bonsignor.
Donnie Leah also trying to follow him through. Justin Bonsignor, he's running a complete little line a little bit up the racetrack. Further back, here comes car number 16, silver, black, and red. That's Tim Salamito. He's trying to wait and get things, well, settled in just a bit before he starts to go. And look, there's Woody Pitcat as they come off turn 4.
Pitcat has his hands full there entering turn number 1. Nerf bar to nerf bar. A battle deep in the field, but Pitcat will get the position as things sort out on the back straight.
A little further ahead, we see 2 cars on the move. Donnie Leah continuing to press forward. Now he goes to the inside of Rowan Pennick, who gets a bit sideways off turn number 4, rolls out of the throttle, and settles back and lands. That puts Donnie Leah up inside the top 6 at a steady margin to the front, nearly going.
That is one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, and you can visually see that as things start to settle in. Battle is for the 3rd and the 4th position, and Ryan Preece's car suddenly developed that caffeine twitch we sometimes talk about. It was evil, and Chase Dowling is right there on his back bumper.
Well, it's interesting. We mentioned Coby able to take that bottom shot all the way into turn number 1. Left side rubber all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Meanwhile, Ryan Preece not able to do that. The car washing up the racetrack just a little bit. Well, pay attention as he heads into turn number 1. Can he get it down to the apron? That time he did a much better job. Did not open the door.
He's trying to protect that outside line too, because here comes Chase Dowling right on his heels as they go down the back straightaway. Dowling peers down to the inside lane, rolls out of the throttle, and is content to follow Ryan Preece here, still just 20 laps into the spring season.
Look a little further back in the field at the bottom of the top 10. Pitcat is coming forward, along with the Matt Swanson machine, car number 89. That's at the bottom of the top 10. Back up front, Chase Dowling is still all over the Preece number 6 car. Can't find the magic yet, but he's definitely applying the heat.
The heat, definitely. Pressure is there. Off of turn number 2. Preece looks in his rearview mirror. He's got a big black race car looking to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to pick up the spot in turn 3. But Preece shuts the door, heading off 4.
A lot of momentum comes with the win in the Spring Sizzler. Chase Dowling has already done that today. He knows he's got a really fast race car. Remember, he's not running for points, so he can be as aggressive as he wants to be this year in the Whelen Modified Tour. And that 15 car looking very, very good here, running in the 5th spot.
You know, we talked about Teddy Christopher pitting early, did like the race car. Well, I think he's starting to like it now. He just passed 4 cars in 2 circuits, and he's marching forward with that 0-0. Remember, pit strategy is going to come into play in this event. We are now 22 of 200 in the Napa Spring Sizzler from the Stafford Motor Speedway.
But Coby has now opened up a 3-car length advantage, leading the Sizzler here down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, Goodale running second as they head down the back straightaway into turn 3. Keeping an eye a little bit deeper in the field, we're talking about Ted Christopher a moment ago. One guy that was at the front of the field was Ronnie Silk, and that number 82 has backslid a little bit. He is now back behind Ted Christopher, who just went by him a moment or 2 ago. And that's not what we expect out of Ronnie Silk in that team. They have been very good. Silk is a past winner here at this racetrack, but this car right now doesn't have the handles. He has struggled to stay inside the top 15.
He certainly has, but who has picked up and brought his A-game to the track is the 0-0 of Ted Christopher. Every time by, he seems to be getting a little quicker. He'll dabble a bit to the bottom, then work some magic and go back to the outside. A car that is being pressured heavily is Rowan Penning, the blue number 3 car by Justin Bonsignor. Bonsignor can reel him in, but he just doesn't have enough speed to make the move and get on by. Bottom shot, turn 2. Bonsignor and Penning. That team is a combination of a couple of different teams. The old J.R. Precast team with Bob Keaton is involved, and that's not the only player that makes the magic on that team as well. The other crew chief is very familiar with Todd Zegedy's style of driving.
Yeah, old things become new again. No matter where Todd Zegedy goes, he seems to find Donnie Barker, and that combination just seems to work. Donnie Barker has tried working with other drivers. It's been a team combination that has just worked with Todd Zegedy and Barker. But remember, back in the day, Barker was a car owner.
That's right.
And Todd Zegedy won his championship back 14 years ago. Now they're driver and crew chief, but they still have this chemistry that keeps that car up front.
And the owner of the car is Kevin Stewart. That team has won a lot of the big open shows, those big $10,000 big pay races that are held in some of the short tracks in the area as well. Don't underestimate the black Tom Bowman, number 7 to York, the Barnall race car for Donnie Leah, because Chase Dowling looked like Superman with his cape out a few laps ago, and now Donnie Leah is really bringing his A-game back to the competition here.
I had the opportunity to speak with Tommy Baldwin Jr. just before the start of the race, and he was awfully excited about this. Of course, he's got great memories of when his father used to race here at this racetrack. And Tommy Baldwin Jr., very active in the race team, not only owning this particular modified, but going to be an active member of the crew. And they do come down pit road. Tommy Baldwin Jr., as you may or may not recall, used to change tires at the Cup Series level. He'll be changing tires today on that modified.
Joe, look what's happening there with lap traffic, because it is going to cost Todd Zegedy second if he's not careful.
Ray Cole acts as a pick, and Zegedy is able to get around the outside. Goodale had drawn alongside Zegedy, but now falls back 2 car lengths. Ryan Preece closes in, but more importantly, here comes Chase Dowling and Donnie Leah.
Anthony DeSella down at pit road, mechanical problems there. Back down into turn number 3. Zegedy's had enough time playing with the lapped automobiles. He moves back in his comfort zone in second. Meanwhile, heavy traffic directly behind him, and it appears that Preece is stuck in that traffic, and he has to watch out because Dowling and Leah, Monsignor, and Penning are all in pursuit of that position.
Heavy congestion through the corners. We're seeing that now. Several cars not being able to maintain the same pace that the leaders are right now. But the leaders deftly maneuvering. Have to be very smooth going around those cars because there's not a lot of racing room there. And certainly the primary line is on the bottom. That's not available when you've got those slower cars.
You know, Joe, when we talked to Tim Salamito before the start of this event, one of the things that he said that he feels confident in is he now can let the racetrack and the race car come to him on these runs. He likes a long-distance run. He doesn't like those short sprints, and I think you're seeing a sample of that right now.
Yeah, and that's Derek Tools, number 16, trying to crack the top 9 positions. He's been working over Craig Lutz the last couple of laps right now for Timmy Salamito. He's a driver that's going to come on late in a run. You're not going to see him sprint out early, but then 40 laps to go, all of a sudden you're going to say, hey, where did Timmy Salamito come from? So right now he may be biding his time being strategic in how he navigates through the field. And Mike, as you said, gotta be careful. Deep in the field, he got some lap traffic, but he knows he's got a good race car, and he's showing that he's got a lot of speed in it.
And I find it also very interesting if we see a car get sideways in turn number 2, the yellow is out.
Second caution flag of the day here today. Just about everybody. We'll see what happens. Here comes Doug Coby, peels down to the inside of the pace car, and pit lane is open. John Gates going to be a very busy place down there in just a moment. Everybody making their way down pit lane for what we assume to be their one and only fuel stop of the afternoon.
And there they are, coming down in perfect formation. Nobody stepping out of line as yet. And the last car to dip down at pit road. Nacella does stay out. Looks like the 01 machine. And let's go down to John Gates.
Looks like the Craig Lutz number 36 car. They are actually the 56 machine. They are putting gas in that ride. A little bit of quick adjustments there. Also on the 16, the Starrett Racing machine, Tilly Solomito. Also Max Sackham, he takes off with a gas tank in the car. So the gas tank in the car, number 20, that's going to be a penalty for that team.
Tough one there. We saw a perfect example of track position gained on pit road. And Mike, you can see that Ryan Preece's crew, they were on the ball for sure.
Took advantage of stop on pit road, a flawless pit stop obviously, gained a few spots. Seen it time and time again, one of the best places to pass at any racetrack, pit road.
Picked up 4 positions, came out first. How about the guy who came in first? He lost 4 spots. He will restart in the 4th position. Doug Coby losing the race lead on pit lane, stalled the car when they tried to get it off pit road.
Yeah.
And where he is, the crew only had about 10 feet to push it before they would be off of pit lane, and then they would have had to let the car go. So they got lucky that the car got fired right away, and he was able to continue on. Meanwhile, back on pit lane, John Gates had called it that Sunoco race fuel for Max Sackham's car was attached to the back of it, Mike, and that's a violation for that team. And a tough break, because with 155 laps to go, you still need good track position if you want to be there at the end.
And that's going to definitely take its toll, leaving your pit stall with equipment still attached. Certainly a penalty, and certainly he had to come down pit road to have that removed. He'll start tail back.
Well, the last car to head out of pit road, kind of an interesting story. The car is owned by Wayne Anderson. The number is now 48, and Joe Koss has that story.
Over the past couple of years, and I should say the last couple of races, even this season, we've seen that car as a 75. Well, they've had bad luck over the past couple of years with Sean Solomito, and so Wayne Anderson, who owns the car, runs off of the island, says, you know what, we got to change our luck. They went into the trailer after the race at Thompson, took every peanut, anything that was green, out of the trailer, threw it away, and then went back home. And they went back and they said, I'm going to put a new number on this car. Went to NASCAR and said, what number can I have? They asked for that number 48. Jason Trinka is a gentleman who passed. His number is on the flag stand at the Riverhead Raceway, where Anderson and Sean Solomito made their name. And so they said, we're going to put a 48 in the car and see if we can turn our luck around here, starting with the Spring Sizzler.
There was a family connection, and there is a lot of honor attached to that number as well.
And it's also interesting, the guy who drives the 48 at the highest level of the sport, he's had pretty good luck over the course of his career as well. And well, it's more than been luck, for sure. But the 48 certainly has carried some success recently in the sport.
I like that number of modified racing too, don't you?
Yes, sir. Now let's reset the field rather quickly. Ryan Preece will be the leader on the restart. Monsignor on the outside. Row number 2 is Zegedy and Coby. Row number 3 is Leah and Rowan Pennick. Row number 4 is Solomito to the inside there. We're about ready to go back to green. Lights are off on the safety vehicle as we get ready to fire them up as they head in turn number 4. Back to the stripe. Bobsleigh to the starter stand. The green is back out. And Preece takes advantages of the restart. But here comes Todd Zegedy. He wants to get back in second, boys.
As Zegedy jumped right at it, jumped underneath Monsignor, heading through turn 2. Glued to the inside lane. Monsignor trying to find his way back to the bottom of the racetrack, but can't do it. He'll get shuffled back to third, perhaps even fourth. Coby in third. Meanwhile, Ryan Preece, your leader by a car length.
There comes Donnie Leah now to challenge as well as he watches his battle for third. Coby running down to the inside. Good run off the end of the back, straight over for Monsignor. or able to put that 51 back out in front. Coby rallies back on the inside lane.
Also coming at the bottom of the top 10, here comes Salamino in that stafford race car. He quickly moves into content, moves into the 8th spot, now hunts down the number 3 of Rowan Pennick. Meanwhile, Chase Dowling, who did not fare well in the picking up positions on pit road, he's struggling in the middle pack of cars.
And it's interesting, Joe, how quickly they got back to single file racing here. Still, about 3/4 of this race remain. Drivers need to take care of their equipment. Chances are that was the last time they're going to hit pit road.
Yeah, very much so. And now here comes Doug Coby trying to get back up in front. Looks to the inside of the man who started on the front row along with him, Todd Szegedy. Szegedys a veteran. He didn't challenge the spot. Doesn't want to tear that race car up. Coby slips on through to second. Szegedy back to third.
Perfect maneuver there as Coby's now up to the runner-up spot. Meanwhile, look a little further back. We see the Doug Lutz car also still hanging with the big dogs in this event. You would know just a year ago he was considered a rookie in this class.
He's done a real nice job in that 56. Right on the back bumper of Timmy Salamino here at the moment. Look up front though. Doug Coby told me he doesn't want to get back on his A game here today at Stafford, one of his favorite racetracks, and he is closing the gap on the race leader. Ryan Preece is out in front by only 2 car lengths at this point.
As Doug Coby proved in the early stages of this race, gentlemen, he's got an awfully strong race car. At one point, he stretched things out to about a 10-car length advantage just before the pit stops occurred. Ryan Preece able to take advantage of the time on pit road, gain that track position, but it has evaporated. Look where Coby is now, riding his tire tracks, hounding him down through turn number 2. A bid for the lead seems imminent.
It certainly does as he heads to the bottom of turn number 3. They sometimes refer to tires as feel goods. And Ryan Preece, this set feels good to him because he wasn't this strong before he went down a pit road, and he is just as strong now.
Coby peeks to the inside. Nothing there. Preece holds him off through turns 3 and 4. Coby certainly applying the pressure. Preece definitely knows he's there in 1.
Watch how hard Ryan Preece gets down into turn number 1. You can literally see that spoiler bounce up into the air because he's driving so hard getting into the corner to try to keep Coby behind him. You watch Coby's car though, he's just floating it and easing it down into the corner. You can tell how hard Ryan Preece is trying to keep that 2 car behind him. Watch it right there. You see that nose just drop right down as he gets on the brakes pretty hard getting down to the corner.
He certainly does, and you are right when you take a look at the way Coby is running. Watch that car. It just floats to the turns, like you said, Joe. It's working in every aspect. Down the back straightaway, Woody Pitcat is in a dogfight battle at the bottom of the top 15, and he's battling with Robbie Summers. Summers picks up the spot, but there's Ted Christopher. He's marching to the front still, and he's bringing with him Ronnie Silk with that number 82 car.
And give those 2 drivers now a third trying to pick up a spot, moving up underneath, headed through turn number 3. That'll be the case.
Eric Huda is another driver who had some difficulties here on pit lane. Remember, he was up in the top 5 for the day.
We've got the 04 spinning of Gary Putnam off turn number 4, and that's going to bring out yet another caution. 61 clicks on the board.
With Todd Szegedy, the combination seems to work. John, we've got some activity on pit lane, including one of the cars we've been watching throughout the day, Donnie Leah. What's going on pit lane with these pit stops?
Max Sackham, they are adding more fuel to that ride, also making some rear adjustments underneath the backside of the number 20 MPC Motorsports machine. Also coming in and getting right side rubber was the Woody Pitcat number 46 car. Several other cars also coming in and out. Also, we saw Walt Sutcliffe with some adjustments, and the Cross number 24 machine, as well as the Corky Cookman lookalike number 04 car.
Well, everybody seems to make it back out with the exception of the number 24 car. Let's talk a little bit about the Max Sackham race car and that team. They're just the guys next door. They decided after running on the MRS series that they wanted to try their talents on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. And I don't think at first anybody thought they were going to be that strong, but they are that strong.
Well, and this year in particular, last year they really came into their own, but this year he made a huge investment. New trailer, new car, new motors, new crew chief, including the guy that tuned Bobby Santos to several Wheel and Modified Tour victories in the form of Steve LeMay. The funny thing about that, Mike, was at Thompson a few weeks ago, Max Zackham says to me, he says, you know, I'm not getting any older. Now's the time to go for it. I said, how old are you? He says, I'm 24.
To be 24, I would love to be 24, wouldn't you?
Green flag back out in the Napa Spring Sizzler. Ryan Preece on the inside lane this time. Looks in the rearview mirror, and it's full of Justin Bonsignor. But here comes Coby to challenge for the top spot.
Well, it looked like Coby was going to be able to move in and take over that position, but Ryan Preece had a whole different strategy there. Back in the third position, Bonsignor is hunted down. At that time, the three of Rowan Pettick was literally sideways, rim riding and running that car off the right rear tire. That's going to cost him.
Battle right now for fifth position. That's where you'll see Todd Szegedy on the outside, that purple and yellow number 85, trying to find his way back down to the bottom of the racetrack. Chase Dowling on the inside of him right now as they head into turn number 2, but that's the best battle on the racetrack. Szegedy getting shuffled back, give the advantage to Dowling.
Double now. Teddy Christopher, car number 00, has lost about 8 positions on the racetrack, and it looks like the Sapienza Motorsports car is heading to the outside wall of pit road. In for the lead up front.
Coby peeks underneath Ryan Preece. Preece has held the spot out front since pit stops at about lap 49. That gave him the track position he needed. Coby, though, had the dominant car early on. And just going to work, studying right now, Joe, trying to figure out what the best way would be to get around Preece at the perfect time. Right now, he knows he's got a good race car, just doesn't want to make a mistake trying to get around Preece.
Yeah, and he is searching. You can tell. Watch him as he gets down into turn number 1. He's a little bit higher than Ryan Preece. Sometimes he runs a little bit lower. You see the difference in the lanes. He's trying to figure out exactly what Preece is doing, where he's beating him. And I think if there's anything that Doug Coby is really good at outside of driving a race car, it's studying his competition. And I think that is one of the reasons why he is a 4-time champion.
I agree with that, and he's showing just a perfect example of that. Textbook story there. Preece still continues to guard the spot, but Doug Coby is there further back in the field once, and now Todd Szegedy, he's slipping further back with that number 85 car as he drops back into the 7th, now make it the 8th position. Now he's all the way back to 9th.
Szegedy just can't seem to get back down on the bottom of the racetrack. He fought hard to get there in turn number 1, but for a long time, couldn't do it. We've got a car with trouble in turn 2.
Looks like the Goodale car.
Yeah, Eric Goodale went around when Szegedy was trying to come down the racetrack. Goodale got pinched underneath Donnie Leah. The car did a lazy
Teddy
spin.
Christopher, you got the 48 team as well. Also the 64, you were just talking about Robbie Summers. Looks like he is scheduled to come in, but the team says he's not sure because Robbie is running so good right now. So it looks like a rear tire change on the number 20 of Max Zackham. The Starrett number 16 machine is also back out, and he'll be heading back out onto the speedway after some adjustments.
Well, the Salamito car returns and joins in the competition. That 64 car that Joe Koss was talking about of Robbie Summers, Ronnie Uhouse used to be the driver. He was involved in a violent accident at New Hampshire International Speedway, which kind of shortened his racing career. He then took over the role as being the crew chief. It's a great racing operation. They call it the A-Team. It's very, very strong and getting stronger. Robbie Summers has won in just about everything. He's won in super modifieds. He's competed and won in the SKs here at the Stafford Motor Speedway and won some of the big open events. So he's a real wheelman. It's nice to see him having some success here at Stafford again.
Yeah, very much so. We'll restart on the outside of row number 3, that white number 64. 78 laps complete when they come around to get the green flag here on this next restart as we approach the halfway point of the 46th running of the Napa Spring Sizzler.
Off turn number 4. Green flag is back out. And Preece with a little power assist from Bonsignor tries to hold on, but here comes Doug Coby. Off the turn, they cling and they clang as they head for turn 3.
They are glued together at the hip, side by side through turns 3 and 4. Coby gets a little bit sideways, dirt tracks it off the corner, trying to find a way around Preece, but Preece holding strong on the inside.
Coby likes to lead these races, and he's being aggressive here now on this restart because he can get it done. Dead even across as they make their way down the back straightaway. Outside lane, it's Coby, but the advantage right now on the bottom is Ryan Preece.
Certainly is. They cross the stripe, and it's still Preece, but that margin is suddenly disappearing ever so slightly. Now look a little further back. All of a sudden, Coby changes his strategy. Trouble down the back straightaway.
Rowan Pennick involved. Several other cars as well spinning on the back straightaway.
Tim Solomito is also involved in that number 16 car, and it looks like the number 85 of Todd Zegedy of Robbie Summers. Another car that's been quietly moving forward is the Lutz number 56 and the number 89 car, picking up 9 spots there as well.
So 85 laps complete so far. The battle continues to rage now between Ryan Preece and Doug Coby. We'll see how aggressive Coby is on this next start. Mike, we've seen him go on the attack on these starts, and you notice that he wants to be out in front of this race.
Yeah, and that's where he was for the early stages of it for sure. They come off of turn number 4, Coby to the outside, Preece to the inside, green flag in the air, and once again, it's Preece through the gearbox the quickest. He's got a nose out front headed to turn 1, but Coby not going away.
Certainly is, and he gives it his all. Doug Coby back in command, lap number 87 when they cross the stripe, and here comes, no surprise, Chase Dowling. He becomes the tail that wags the dog, but Preece, he says no way, and he pulls it back in the line.
Great battle up front. Coby back out on the point right now. Preece, can he rally back? He's a car length back heading to turn 3.
Sails it deep down into the corner, closes almost up to the back bumper of Doug Coby. But Coby's car launches off turn 4 with much more speed and is able to open up that advantage once again to keep Ryan Preece at bay. Chase Dowling is settled into 3rd. Behind them, a wheel-to-wheel battle. Woodhill trying to find racing room down the inside of Ryan Silver.
Certainly does. Right there with him is also Woody Pitcat. Then it's the Zapienza machine, and Ted Christopher, he's also trying to get back into the thick of things in this event. 89 laps of 200 in the Napa Auto Parts Spring Sizzler. Dominant leaders, men 2. It has been Doug Coby and then Ryan Preece.
Doug Coby, your man right now, he's got a 2-car length advantage. Ryan Preece trying to reel him in, but still plenty of racing to go. 110 laps remain. None of these drivers want to use up their stuff just yet. Ryan Preece knows they're trying to chase down Doug Coby, who has such a strong race car right now. Has some risk to it. He could burn some stuff up, use some stuff up before it's time. It's not go time yet, but he knows he needs to maintain striking distance as we get closer to the finish.
Well, if I'm Ryan Preece, I know that the last time my car was on pit road, I had the fastest picture. And I know that a second place car, I can get to the lead because my guys on pit road right now, today, are the best here at Stafford. Doug Coby on the other side said, you know what, I need as much ground as I can because the last time I came down pit road, I lost 4 spots. I want to gain those spots on the racetrack, lead this race, and put destiny in my own hands.
All of a sudden, car number 58 makes its move, and it is the Goodale machine, now setting in position number 6. That forces Silk back to the 7th spot. Woody Pitcat is 8th, Zapienza is 9th, and Ted Christopher sets among the top 10. 7 laps shy of a halfway marker in this Napa Auto Parts special event.
I don't think anybody's surprised that Ted Christopher is among the top 10. 94 laps in after having to go to the back of the field early on. Talked about his mastery of this racetrack. He continues his charge toward the front.
And look who he's bringing right along with him. Max Zacco, who, 30 laps ago had a challenge because he had the fuel can sticking out of the back of his machine. And now Zacco, putting the move on Ted Christopher, dives down to the inside at turn number 3 and picks up the spot.
Certainly does. He's moving forward rather quickly now as he settles back in. His next target becomes the Dave Zapienza, number 36 car, as they head down the back straightaway. Back up front, it is Doug Coby still in command. Margin between 1st and 2nd still staying pretty much the same. Then it's Chase Dowling in the 3rd spot behind Preece. 4th position is Monsignor, and 5th spot is still Robbie Summers.
It's one of those interesting plays, Mike, because we're looking at the speed that that 20 car Max Zacco has. He came down pit lane and already got some tires on that number 20 machine, which is going to put him in a else decides that they want to come down pit lane, you talked a little bit earlier about whether or not you go hard or you take it easy. Maybe if you're Max Zach, and you got to realize that you've got the best tires out there right now among the cars that are in front of you. You don't want to burn that up for when they put on their new rubber.
No, it's the chess game. It really is. Trying to time everything just right. We're inching closer. Just 2 laps remaining before we get to the halfway point, Joe. We've already seen a heck of a display by Doug Coby. Doug Coby has one incredible race car, and he's proven that. He's off to a 6-car length advantage once again, heading into turns 1 and 2, and he's shown no weakness so far.
Well, they named their race cars at Mike's Formula Racing, and they named it by the racetrack that they win at the most. That car, guess what its name is? Stafford Speedway, because that car has gone to victory lane more times here at Stafford than any other car in their stable.
Further back, it's not a good piece. Further back in the field, guys, you got to keep your eyes on Donnie Leah. He's starting to move back into contention. And the number 48 machine is also picking up some spots with Ted Christopher. 100 laps are down, 100 laps to go. And still Doug Coby dominating the racing action.
And Rowan Panic just had a moment on the back straightaway. Earlier in the race, he was involved in a skirmish, and the car has not been right ever since. Got a little bit sideways coming off of turn number 2. Looked like he almost got on the wall on the back straightaway, and he's been off the pace.
And that racetrack closes up very quickly over there. There's not a lot of room coming up off turn number 2 before that outside concrete really starts to close in on you. But Rowan Penix had a lot of laps around this racetrack. He eased out of it. He gave up almost a straightaway in distance among the cars that he was racing with. But he still has a race car with 4 wheels on it. He's able to continue on.
Well, Ronnie Silk backed out of it just a bit, and that gave Max Zackham another position as he moves closer to the front. Donnie Leah with Ted Christopher and Salamito. We haven't talked a lot about him, and we are now past the halfway marker. But Salamito is among the quickest cars of the racetrack. That steering number 16 is working some magic, Joe, as he continues to try to hold off Lutz, who's having the run of his racing career.
Well, now is go time for Timmy Salamito. You get to the second half of the race, you've got an understanding of what kind of car you have underneath you. Get yourself in a good track position, not get too far behind, and start getting aggressive in the second half of the race. And that's exactly how he likes to run.
Another car that's closing up the gap is Eric Goodale's machine. That's the number 58 car coming off turn number 4 on Robbie Summers. Now Summers is currently setting at the bottom of the top 5 in position number 5. But again, Goodale is still right there. Dave Zapienza surprising us. He's now up to the 6th spot. Max Zackham is 7th. And then in the 8th position is the other Salamito car. And here's an amazing statistic, guys. The only car in the 18 on the last circuit was Dave Zapienza. And that's kind of a surprise to everyone.
That's actually a brand new race car. They were putting the finishing touches on it here today after learning some things on it from practice yesterday. What's unique about that is Tommy Grasso is a new crew chief for that 36 for Dave Zapienza. He used to work with Ryan Preece, learned a lot of tricks, and he said, I took everything I learned from Ryan Preece and Jeff Preece's dad in that 6 car, and I applied it to this 36. It seems like Dave Zapienza likes to feel that race car.
It certainly does. And of course, the Grasso brothers used to be with Eddie Partridge, used to be the crew chief for guess who? Ryan Preece.
That's right.
Donnie Leah now moves into the top 10 with the Baldwin number 7 New York car. So he's starting to march forward as well.
And it's interesting, Ben, as we alluded to, he was one of the cars on pit road, as Joe pointed out, taking that right rear. Got to wonder if that was the softer right rear that he went with as he picks up this track.
He certainly does. Back down at pit road, George Runhussel III. He's been in and out of pit road. He's had his share of problems. 110 of 200.
Max Zackham continues to press forward as well. He's navigated up to 7th. He's been able to distance himself from the driver he was running with at the time the last time we talked about him. That was Ted Christopher. He's got about a straightaway advantage there. 7th position down, trying to track down Dave Zapienza, who rides 6th. 111 up on the scoreboard here today, and nobody, except for Ryan Preece, has had anything to challenge Doug Coby.
That is so true. Chase Dowling's car is starting to back up just a bit. And Justin Bonsignor is running right in his tire tracks as they head down the front straightaway here. Same type of a situation occurring with the Robbie Summers white number 64 car and the Eric Goodale machine. And now Goodale's forced to back out of it just a bit, and Summers gets a little bit better bite coming off the turn.
closed the gap slightly to about a half a car length off turn number 4, but Summers, this car seems to be working pretty good in that middle groove. He works the outside groove now through turns 1 and 2 and on the back straightaway, working through lap traffic, but it seems like he can work in multiple.
And that's going to make it tough for him to pad or beat past too, because that middle groove allows you to block that bottom a little bit, keeps the guys that are trying to keep the momentum up there in the outside lane behind you as well. So,
Joe, on the back straightaway, the number 85 of Todd Zeggety is just returning to the competition. He lost a ton of laps on pit road.
the last time the caution flag came out was lap 61. He's been on pit road for quite some time.
And a shame, too. Certainly one of the pre-race favorites, Todd Zeggety. Had a good race car early on. Had trouble just before lap 60, I think it was about there. And since then has not been competitive, obviously. But a shame, because a lot of people were talking about this 85 car coming into the race as perhaps one of the guys to beat.
He's been so good at this racetrack over the years. My first modified race here, watched Todd Zeggety go to victory lane. And so I remember from my first race here, you guys were talking about that a little earlier, how good he is. And today it's not going to be his day, but they can still learn a lot over the course of the next 80 laps or so.
Leader coming up on heavy traffic now is the number 17 car. Goes a lap down. They head down the back straightaway. Meanwhile, a little further back, still that battle between Goodale and that neon yellow and orange and black number 58. Still working over Robbie Summers. But Mike, you called it best. It seems that Summers has got the right pattern to be just a little difficult, and it's working so far in holding on to that position.
He's got some versatility. You see a lot of the leaders able to hug that bottom groove going through turns 1 and 2. Now, Summers can do that. Doesn't look like he's choosing to do that right now. It enables him to make his car just perhaps a little bit wider, more difficult to get around.
Sure does. There's our leader coming up through traffic as Doug Coby goes to the inside of Matt Swanson. Uh-oh, we've got lapped automobiles both high and low coming off turn number 4. As Coby's able to make it on by that evil run-outside car that's been way off the pace throughout the early laps.
This is where Doug Coby needs to be very careful, working his way through lap traffic. He knows he's got a dominant race car. Unlike anything else, you got to worry about everybody else when you're making your way through lap traffic. And he was very careful there. Now that he's cleared himself from some of that lap traffic, he's able to set sail once again and start to stretch some things out. You can really see how dominant that race car is now. The 2 car now nearly a full straightaway, almost a full straightaway ahead of Ryan.
And if you're down in the front row of the grandstand, you can probably hear how early Coby's getting out of the throttle. That's one of the things he'll do when he gets a big lead like this, just to conserve the race car, conserve the brakes, the tires, the fuel. He'll lift only 100 foot past the start-finish line and really just coast down into the corner and maximize the performance of that car at the end of the race.
Joe, another car that seems to be backing up is Justin Bonsignore's, the Phoenix Communications machine, car number 51, as now we can see Summers is close to the gap. Just a few laps ago, Bonsignore was a full straightaway ahead of that number 64 car of Robbie Summers.
Summers closing right in, as is Eric Goodale. Remember, Goodale spun in turn number 2 not that long ago, the last caution flag that came out. And so that points to the strength of that automobile. Good run down off the end of the back straightaway into the slight banking of turns 3 and 4. We've got a good battle shaping up there for 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
And while all that's been happening, Ted Christopher just pulled off a bonsai move to move down underneath the number 82 of Ronnie Silk. So he's still considered right in the thick of things here as well. Interestingly enough, the 51 of Bonsignore is now not only being pressured by Robbie Summers, but by Eric Goodale. And that distance is closing up ever so slightly, and there's heavy traffic, guys, just in front of them.
It's going to be interesting to see how they tiptoe through that lap traffic right now. Zeggety on the bottom of the racetrack. He's a lap car. He'll be bypassed now by Bonsignore and Robbie Summers, working their way through there. No incident whatsoever. Very smooth drive.
Chris Bonsignore works around the outside of the lapped automobile of Gary Putnam up ahead, Matt Swanson. That gives Bonsignore a little bit of breathing room as he was able to get by Gary Putnam off the end of the front straightaway. Now closes in on Swanson in that number 89.
Certainly does as they rumble back off the turn. The Swanson machine now finds its slot on the inside lane. Monsignor makes it by. Here comes Summers, and right there with him is Goodale. About the same distance between each and every one of them. Meanwhile, Preece has kind of shaken off Chase Dowling here, as the same distance separates them. But Dowling's car is, well, become a little bit harder to handle, as we saw that car not as consistent as it was earlier. 129 of 200.
Big Ben, that comes down to experience. Third place so far. The guys in front of him have got a lot more laps around this racetrack. And Doug Coby and Ryan Preece, and does Chase Dowling. And there's an art to getting around this racetrack. And there's a reason why you see the same guys in victory lane time and time again.
Interestingly enough, Joe, the fastest car currently on the racetrack, new timing and scoring, is the 7 New York of Donnie Leah. So that car all of a sudden gets a second win, and it is the quickest car currently on the racetrack.
Running in the 8th position right now. Still working through some of that lap traffic. Got a long way to go before he catches up to that silver number 20 of Max Ackerman.
And in comparison to a lot of the cars in the field, he's got fresh rubber. So that certainly has helped the 7 car maintain that speed. How long he can maintain it? Well, we still have just over 65 laps remaining in this race. So whether or not he can maintain that pace is the question mark. Certainly the guys in front of them, they did not stop. Will they stop before the end of this race? I would think only if a caution comes out. But the 7 car fast right now, still a long way to go.
Well, you got to think, too, that everybody on pit lane watched what they did, saw that they took one tire. That was about 70 laps ago, Mike, and that's about where we are left in this race. And so people now know how that tire is going to react, courtesy of Tommy Baldwin and Donnie Leah.
Currently, we just saw that Donnie Leah came up on Dave Zapienza and gave him a little shot to the back bumper, said Lee is there, and he wants some racing room. Max Zackham went around the Zapienza car, and once he got around it, guys, he's pulled away by about 4 car lengths. Meanwhile, look at Leah. He's all over Zapienza with that 36 machine, and Zapienza's car has gotten pretty wide.
A crossover move there by Leah. Works from the outside, dives to the inside, gets up underneath, and then washes up a little bit in turn number 2, but still able to maintain that spot.
Look at the right front of Donnie Leah's car. It no longer says Hoosier, as he has really used that car up, getting it towards the front of the field. And boy, he's got a handful there. That time coming off turn number 4. Car is loose, but he is manhandling it around this racetrack.
Back up front, guys, take a look. Aaron Goodale, he's making a move on Robbie Summers. Deep into turn 3, bottom shot. They're side by side, wheel to wheel. Off turn number 4, Goodale has finally gotten around Robbie Summers.
And a great move. Went to work on Summers. Spent a few laps studying the line, trying to figure out where the vulnerabilities were, then took advantage.
He sure did, and now watch Goodale. I think he's going to do the same strategy as he looks and follows Monsignor, who's the next target.
Monsignor currently runs 3rd. Goodale back in 4th. So that's 4th position, Monsignor. Goodale now in 5th.
Then it's Summers setting in the 6th spot, and then we believe up to the 7th position is Max Zackham, followed by the Donnie Leah number 7 New York and Dave Zapienza to round out the top 10.
Meanwhile, what can you say about Doug Coby? On another planet right now. Extremely good racer.
Anything can happen if they do get another caution flag, though. That's what will stir the drink on this one. Coby with a healthy advantage, just about the entire distance between turns 3 and 4 over the 2nd place machine. Ryan Preece, that orange and white number 6.
And as these tires wear, these cars are going to become a handful.
Yeah.
You talk about that caution that could come out. Well, with 60 laps to go here, or thereabouts, on old tires, well, things could get a little bit dicey for some of these drivers. That caution flag may fly.
Yeah, dicey is a perfect word for it, too, because coming up on 57 laps to go, Coby brings it down to the line. Next time by here in the Napa Spring Sizzler. Few have been as good at this racetrack in the history of modified racing as Doug Coby. Will certainly go down to the history books as one of the greats. 4-time champion, looking for his 4th in a row. Today, trying to dig out of that hole that they dug in the first 2 races. 13th at Myrtle Beach, dead last at Thompson.
Certainly was, and then don't forget he won this race 1 year ago, so he's back in winning form, and that kind of set the stage for the remainder of the year where he took down another title on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Down in turn number 3, Bonsignor still trying to shake off Eric Goodale. He gains a little bit, then it seems to be a lap automobile that kind of becomes the equalizer there as well.
Got to move around that 33 who's holding the primary line. All the drivers have to be extremely careful as they make their way by him. And they do. They clear him easily.
Behind them, Donnie Lee was able to get by Dave Zappiente not too long ago. Continuing his march to the front, but how about that 20? Max Zackham putting his name in the hat here to battle out just outside the top 5, challenging Robbie Summers down into turn number 3.
He's come a long way, Joe, from the back of the pack, and he had a little problem in the beginning of the event, but that problem has disappeared as he continues to work his magic over Robbie Summers. Summers' car is not as strong as it was about 10 laps ago, but Max Zackham's car seems to be getting even quicker as we work into the final stages of the greatest race in the history of spring. Doug Coby's about to lap the 14th place car, and that is Salamito. That's something you don't see happen every day.
No, that just speaks to how strong the two-car is right now. Putting on a show. Out there and lapping the 14th place car, that's impressive.
And for Salamito, it's certainly not gone to plan for him today. Expected him to be a lot stronger in that number 16 machine. He looks in the rearview mirror, and boy, is there anybody that wants to caution more than Timmy Salamito right now.
It certainly does appear that way, doesn't it? He finished and won the first race, second in the second, so he had a good average, but then all of a sudden that all changes here today in Stafford. Meanwhile, look at Max Zackham. He's got to make a bold inside move on Robbie Summers. Going, gone. It is Max Zackham up to yet another position closer to the front of the field.
Zackham now up to 6th. Right behind Eric Goodale running into 5th position, down into turn number 3. And Bonsignor, his car has seemed to stabilize a bit. About 20 laps ago or so, we were talking about his battles, and the car was starting to loosen up a little bit. He's been able to keep Eric Goodale at bay over the past handful of circuits.
Look at our leader, Doug Coby, just went around Tim Salamito like he was parked in a parking lot. He made it look so easy. This is not the day that the Salamito team was hoping for by any stretch of the imagination here. Up in front of him, next target to be going down laps will be the Rowan Panic machine, the winner of the last stop on the Whelen Modified Tour.
Took a look at the front end of that Rowan Panic machine as it came off turn 4, Ben. You can see that he's got his hands. He was wheeling that thing. He was very loose coming off the corner, but he's just trying to get to the finish here, just trying to salvage this day. This day has not gone well for Rowan Panic at all, but just trying to get the finish and trying to hold on to that race car.
I'll tell you who it has been going well for, and that's Max Zackham, as he picks up yet another spot going around Goodale, and now he's starting to work over Bonsignor. That's the battle down in turn 1.
Bonsignor, clear racetrack up ahead of him. 2 or 3 car lengths in hand over Max Zackham is trouble.
We've got a spin. Car number 33, Wade Cole, will spin, and that's going to bring...
And here they come. Pit road is open. Doug Coby and just about everybody in the field on the lead lap will come down pit lane. The man to cover it all is John Gates.
Preece, then the 15 of Chase Dowling. Here they all come. This is going to be a crazy time here on pit road, race fans. This could be the race. As the race begins to get down to the winding laps, these guys here have got to do their job and do it right. It is back rear tires for the A team here. Robbie Summers, he is going to both rear tires on that machine. Also several other cars in here, including the 7 New York of Donnie Leah. Of course, the 20 machine, he just stalled. So Max Zackham has stalled the 20. He's back out in front of the 89, but it is chaos here on pit road.
Well, a car that picked up a lot of ground is the Max Zackham machine. Remember last time, guys, the number 6 car had the perfect pit stop. I don't think that's the story this time.
No, it does not look like it's perfect. Far from it. Very slow on pit road. Lost a number of positions, it would appear, for Ryan Preece. couldn't duplicate the performance they had on pit road earlier in the day.
Interesting, because it appeared as though the problem was on the right front of that automobile. They had jacked the rear of the car up, went around to change tires on the right side, and that was where the hang-up was for the 6 car of Ryan Preece. Also, we see a little bit of interesting tire strategy. He's out in front. Meanwhile, Doug Coby saying, I've led the entire way. Every time we come off of pit lane here, I've got to work my way back up to the front. It's been real competitive throughout the distance. 39 laps to go. When they get the green flag here, Mike, it's all down to it. All the chips have been played. It's now in the driver's hands.
Well, we mentioned Ryan Preece's pit wasn't stellar. He'll restart on the inside of row number 3 instead of on the front row, perhaps, where he might have been had he had the stop he had earlier. Let's see what he can do. Doug Coby on the outside of row number 1, and he will get the jump. He's had the dominant car throughout the day, and he's the leader heading into turn number 1. Just by the front of that race car, he leads on the back straightaway.
He certainly does, and Goodale is forced to keep it low, tries to get back into it. Goodale gets a little forward bite, right in the center of the turn. They come back to the stripe, and it's Coby by inches.
Coby working the outside groove. Goodale down low, trying to hold him off to no avail. Off turn number 2. Give the advantage to Coby. He's able to nudge his way out front, dives to the bottom of the racetrack in 3, but then gets scooted out of the inside groove, and Goodale takes it back.
The old short track bump and run. Here comes Eric Goodale to lead the spring sizzler, and Coby won't have any of that. Gives it back to Eric Goodale, getting down into turn number 1, and here comes Monsignor Preece.
Preece tries to make the move inside. It doesn't work. Pulls back in the line. Monsignor is up to the 3rd spot. Behind them is Max Zakum rounding out the bottom of the top 5. Single file. They head back to the line. It is Eric Goodale, the leader of the pack.
The intensity has certainly been ratcheted up. The top 4 cars, bumper to bumper through turn number 2. Ryan Preece trying to get that real estate back. Looking to the inside of Monsignor, heading into 3. Has to settle back. Rides his tire tracks through 3 and 4. And now looks to the inside once again off the corner.
Uses the apron to get that number 6 car to turn on the exit. Couldn't make it happen there. Monsignor overdrives turn number 1, and here comes Preece to challenge the inside for 3rd.
Preece moves into the 3rd spot, back up front. Here comes Coby. Coby tries a bottom shot move. Goodale is hung out to dry in the outside lane. Doug Coby back in command, 166.
Coby used that inside line and then drifted just so slightly up the racetrack. That forced Goodale to get up the racetrack himself, and that gave the advantage to Coby. Also now look at Preece right on the rear bumper of Goodale headed through 4.
Yeah, Goodale's not done with Coby either, because he is back to the accelerator, closing in, looks in the rearview mirror. Here is Preece, outside attempt into turn number 1. Preece tries to put a wheel up there. Wild trouble. It's Robbie Summers who goes around. 4 or 5 cars involved, including Chase Dowling, Dave Zappi.
What was the gap between the 6 car and the 2 car? Because he was awfully strong, very aggressive, able to get that real estate back. The car looked very good. You got to wonder if they took a little bit of extra time just to make sure they got that car right.
Could be the case, Joe. We've seen that happen also here at in the late event charges in these events here with the modifieds. Let's see what's going to happen. We're about ready to get them fired back up. Salamito coming out of the end of pit road just as we go green.
Look at Ryan Preece. Right up underneath the rear deck of the 2 car, heading through the first set of corners, chasing down Doug Coby on the back straightaway. Coby opens up just a little bit of a gap to the bottom of the racetrack. Preece can't take advantage just yet. Will continue to ride single file, running second to Coby as he heads into turn 1.
Doug Coby away with the race lead. Ryan Preece to close in. Looks behind, and there is Eric Goodale. Wheel to wheel for 4. It's Max Zakum and Justin Monsignor behind them. It's Ronnie Silk battling with Rowan Pettick.
We almost counted Ronnie Silk out. Pettick is still there. There's Ted Christopher. He's now moved into contention with them. Pettick again. He's had trouble. All of a sudden, Max Zakum's car got evil. It literally scuffed the softer wall. Now it's almost coming to a halt on the racetrack. Will Max Zakum be able to get it back down, or will we go back to yellow?
Pancake the side of that number 20. Guess what team he worked for? Justin Monsignor. He was the one fixing the race car then.
Sure was, and now Monsignor is down in pit road, and they're going to jack up the right side. They're measuring the stagger on the right rear. There's 181 of 200. Now complete. Quick check of the stagger, and the 51 comes back out.
Mike, 18 laps to go. When they get the green flag, Coby and Preece back on the front row. Couldn't ask for anything more to finish off the Spring Sizzler here today.
You know, it's quite the battle. And certainly Rowan Pettick, you got to give a tip of the cap to him as well. Persevering throughout the course of the afternoon. Has not been a smooth ride for Pennick, but man, he is right there and has an opportunity. Can he take advantage? Well, he's going to have to get by two very strong race cars. Green flag out. Ryan Preece gets the jump from the outside of row number one. Coby not going away, though. He'll ride him up the racetrack and take advantage off of turn two.
He certainly will. All of a sudden, it is Goodale who makes his magic known on the bottom. Silk is there. There is Ted Christopher and Pennick. Pennick and Christopher come together like two cymbals in an orchestra. To second, boys. Here comes Preece back in command. Goodale drops back, and all of a sudden he's back. That, of course, working its magic on the inside. Chase Dowling, he moves back into the fourth spot.
Chase Dowling looking to have a day here at Stafford. Already a winner in the SK Modified race earlier this afternoon, running fourth right now, trying to pull off the sweep on Sizzler Sunday, but has quite a bit of work to do because in front of him, Goodale, Preece, Coby, 1, 2, 3, heading into one.
And Preece is there. Coby protects the outside lane. Here comes Preece looking inside, but Coby the advantage on the back straightaway.
He does. A little forward momentum takes him into turn number 3 first. Preece is still there. Goodale is there. And now Chase Dowling, 4 cars, bidding for the number 1 position. Dowling moves to the inside. Doesn't happen. Pulls it back into line. Here comes Preece again to challenge off 2.
Preece to the bottom of the racetrack. Gets a wheel up underneath the rears of Coby. Nerf bar to nerf bar. Third turns 3 and 4. Ryan Preece has the lead off the corner.
Ryan Preece takes it on lap number 187. It's still not over with yet. Coby settles back into second. Short-lived. Here comes Goodale, still in the 3rd spot. And back up to position number 4. It is Chase Dowling. Here comes Christopher. He moves into the 5th spot.
Overdrives the racetrack, and here comes Pennick. Contact now as Sean Salamino gets into the back bumper of Ronnie Silk, who goes spinning off turn over by a car length ahead of Preece. Preece comes right on back. You can tell they're trying to get each other's heads here on this final start. We'll have 8 to go when they get the green flag.
Looks like the option tire being put on the number 64 car, Joe, as you look down at pit road.
That certainly created a very interesting twist and made for an exciting finish, I would think, too. Cars, it's the equalizer, really. It's made some of the cars that weren't as fast as the faster cars early in the stages of the race just as fast right now. Because of that, I'd say there's 4 or 5 cars here who come away with the victory with 9 laps to go.
There were 13 cars on the lead lap. Get ready, hold on, because we're going back to green as they head off turn number 4.
Green flag out. The dead heat down into turn 1. Ryan Preece to the bottom. Doug Coby to the outside. Preece has the advantage, but ever so slightly midway down the back straightaway.
Coby settles back in the line to second. Here comes Christopher, though, using the outside lane for 4th. Now to challenge for 3rd. Goodale rallies back on the inside lane.
No question about it. Chase Goodale moves up. Chase moves in. Goodale's right there behind him. As Chase moves in, makes his presence known. Dowling's up to the 3rd spot. Christopher still running high, wide, and handsome down to turn 3.
Christopher, who had to go to the back of the field at the beginning of this feature race, now running in the top 5, making a bid for a 4th place position. Riding Goodale through turn number 1. Christopher looking for some racing room, doesn't have it. He'll settle into that 5th spot.
Keep an eye on Chase Dowling, that black number 15. He isn't done yet. He is climbing all over the back bumper. Now looking outside of Doug Coby off turn number 4 as Coby now slides up the racetrack, but Dowling not able to take advantage.
Dowling tries it low, then tries it high, then settles back in. Little smooch to the back bumper. That was Doug Coby, letting know Preece still there. Chase Dowling does the same type of move. 5 laps remaining here in the greatest race in the history of spring.
Single file off turn number 4. Ryan Preece with a car length advantage, but a very strong Doug Coby riding his tire tracks through turn number 2. Coby, though, has got his hands full with Chase Dowling on the back straightaway.
Trying to focus on finding a way around Ryan Preece, but Dowling's just making it too difficult right now as Eric Goodale closes in. Dowling now looking again to the inside off turn number 4. Meanwhile, Ryan Preece has opened up 3 car lengths over Doug Coby.
He starts to literally pull away now as Dowling continues to work over the number 2 of Coby. Here comes Chase Dowling. Took a peek inside, didn't work. Gathers it back. Here comes the Goodale cars. They work their magic off 4.
As they come to the stripe, there'll be 2 laps remaining. Doug Coby, who had the dominant race car throughout the course of the afternoon, down to less than 2 circuits off turn number 2 to close the gap between himself and Ryan Preece. Preece has the advantage. Coby trying to close the gap in 3, but still riding second.
A year ago, Ryan Preece was running in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. He's back in Stafford in the Whelen Modified Tour today, trying to check the box with a spring sizzler victory. A half a lap to go for Ryan Preece.
Down into turn number 3. Ryan Preece on top of his game here at Stafford. He heads off turn number 4. The greatest race in the history of spring. We'll see the name Ryan Preece atop the trophy. He will win the Napa.